Today's topic is going to be AI, right? Artificial intelligence. We're going to have some fun with it. Ultimately, the future belongs to AI users, right? And whether we agree or don't agree that in our workplace and in other workplaces across the world, there will be two categories of people. There will be people that use AI effectively, and then there will be people who don't, right? And ultimately, the first group is going to move faster. It's going to produce more. It's going to learn faster. It's going to solve problems faster. I had a conversation with a disgruntled agent out in the field a few days ago. I would say about 3 or 4 days ago. The standard operating procedure is make sure the client that we're communicating with is heard, they feel acknowledged, understand what the challenges are, the issues are, and this particular agent who also happened to be a client made some claims, right? So to address that naturally, based on the way we've always done it, is to number one, QC every single phone call, make sure that number one, we did what we're supposed to do, that we didn't bend any rules and break any rules, and then ultimately find a solution that works for everybody. I've reached out to customer service to let them know what we're dealing with. I've reached out to Josh, and Josh said, yeah, there's quite a few phone calls. There's about 12 phone calls, about 4 hours of listening time. Now, the way that we normally would solve this problem is we would actually, a manager would have to listen to 4 hours worth of calls,
Yes.
figure out what's going on, interpret all the information, and then we would have a plan of action to address it with the agent, so on and so forth, and all the relevant parties. Guys, from the time that I've communicated this information to the time that we had a solution, it was all about 7 or 8 minutes. And we found
Oh, wow.
exactly what the issue is. Josh figured out with Claude's help, Jarvis, excuse me, and it found exactly the challenge that we dealt with, and it gave us the ammunition and the inventory and the knowledge and the information to handle that conflict very, very efficiently. What would have taken 4 hours took about 7 minutes. I would think you would agree with me. That's pretty freaking awesome, right? Within the last couple weeks, Ben Wilder, I'd say he probably figured everything out that would have naturally required an enormous amount of resources to figure all these things out. With the help of AI, he figured out the accounting piece and the booking piece and making sure that it all works. So again, these are the two different case studies that essentially are not only going to help us get to the next level, but it's going to help us scale as an
So
organization.
important that we have to talk about our team members, our people, right? Because we are embracing a change, and every change creates an environment and it can create emotional responses. So, to begin this session, I wanted to ask everyone a question, and you have to type in your answers in the chat box. All right. When you first heard about AI, so I wanted us to focus on the work setup, right? When you first heard about AI like ChatGPT or Claude, that it can already do all the reports, all the QA evaluations, marketing materials, or scared, fear, wow, oh, curious. I
Mm.
see. But while we're waiting for others to put in all their answers, I also wanted to share a story that, well, Armin already mentioned it. Do you guys know that Josh, together with our former Genius Maker classmate Diego, have been utilizing Claude for a while now? They were the ones who brought it into the table because they were able to do their call evaluations, their refresher, their training using Claude. So I wanted to ask Josh, can you share us the experience of what was your initial reaction when you first figured out about Claude?
Uh, my first reaction was a bit overwhelming, right? Looking at technology that adapts and evolves so fast, right? How to use it in the best way possible, the most efficient way possible. And then, as we started using it, how it can help us save time, right? At first, I thought it looks very complicated. Diego would share his screen and he was like connected to so many models, and then it would do this and that. I'm like, wow, it looks really complicated. But as you start learning and using it yourself, you can start, going step by step. And then other thoughts that came to my mind is, this is not only the future, it's the present. And maybe soon this is going to start doing things that people in our organization do, and we might not even need people, right? I remember Diego actually told me he was scared about rolling out this new tool that would automatically download calls, it did the audits, every day, based on the parameters that it gave it. It was learning every day about our call flow, our daily meetings, everything. And we had a new member in the team, right, that was supposed to start helping us with doing QA audits. And he's like, I'm concerned about rolling this out because this other person might lose his job because it's doing it faster and better, right? It's already ready, right? So those were the initial reactions or thoughts that we had.
Thank you, Josh. We just talked about a call that we could have evaluated for 4 hours, but Josh was able to do it in 8 minutes, right? So that is exciting. But like what Ravi said, that excitement also requires leadership. Why? It's because excitement without direction can create unrealistic expectations. He said that I can be greedy. I wanted to have more of it. And the goal is not to let AI do all the work for us or to do something out of this world work, right? The goal is to have AI work with us in ways that create real value. Because a leader's role is to help channel that excitement into a meaningful action. We still are the one leading and feeding our AI.
I'm actually talking about this, Captain. You are responsible for your crew. You are responsible for your passengers, and most importantly, you're responsible for getting everyone safely to their destination. Now, I want you to imagine that you're navigating through unfamiliar waters. The weather changes, visibility drops, condition becomes uncertain. At that moment, every captain wants the same thing: a better view, better visibility, better information. Because the better you can see, the best decisions you can make. And leadership today isn't very different. The leaders who succeed aren't always the ones who work harder. They are the ones who see sooner. They recognize risks before they become problems. They recognize opportunities before others do. Technology can improve our visibility, but it never replaces our responsibility. Today, I want to talk about when leaders should use AI. If AI helps leaders see farther, then what exactly are we trying to see? So 20 years ago, leaders struggled because they didn't have enough information. Today, we're surrounded by it. Reports, emails, meetings, dashboards, metrics, data, and even more data. The challenge isn't collecting the information anymore. The challenge is creating clarity. Because data has never changed an organization, decisions do. And good decisions begins with clarity. That's when AI becomes valuable, not because it leads people, but because it helps leaders focus on what truly matters. So leaders should use AI when information becomes overwhelming, when patterns are hidden, and trends aren't obvious, when thousands of data points need to become one clear direction. One example for me is reporting. Some reports I built used to take me 30 to 45 minutes gathering information, filtering data. Today, AI helps me to complete much of that work in minutes. But here's the important part. AI didn't become the leader. It just simply gave me clarity faster. Now I spend less time building reports and more time helping clients, more time training, more time supporting my team.
I'm going to go over something with you that I think will help with creating prompts. I think prompting is the foundation for getting things started with AI. And just because we're in the debt settlement business, I'm going to use the acronym, the debt prompt ladder. And I'll get to the acronym in a minute. But I'm going to give you 3 examples of what a lazy prompt is, a little bit of a better prompt, and what would be considered more of like an expert prompt. So level 1, super lazy prompt, right? There's no role, there's no context, it's just a question. So how can I make my career in debt settlement more productive? Pretty simple question. And AI will give you a pretty simple output. It'll give you kind of a bullet point answer, and it's useful, but it doesn't necessarily help the problem. There's really no role, there's no context. AI really has nothing to work with. So it's kind of that garbage in, garbage out, right? If you're not providing that information to your employee, the employee just doesn't really know what to do. So the devil is in the details. You have to make sure that you're describing what you want. So let's now enhance it a little bit. Let's add your role and your responsibilities. So now I'm a debt settlement account manager. I manage 250 active clients. My responsibilities include follow-up, reviewing settlement, communicating with creditors, answering customer questions. What are 10 practical ways I can become more productive? So a little bit better prompt. And it's going to give you a pretty similar outcome. It's going to give you kind of a bullet point response. And it's helpful, and it helps you with, I guess, writer's block or kind of a memory jogging, but it doesn't necessarily give you the full details of what you're looking to do. It's closer, but AI still doesn't know what your actual problem is. So let's get into more of a real detailed prompt. And this is kind of what I'm having you focus your thought process with creating prompts. We're going to actually now give it a role, context, goal, and the output format, meaning what format do you want this displayed in? Do I want it in Excel? Do I want it in a PDF, HTML? Whatever the case may be, it's important to actually give it that final output format. Now, I won't read this because it's a pretty long prompt, but this is where we want to graduate to. We want to actually start creating prompts that look like this. Why? They're more efficient. You don't have to go back and forth with your AI agent. So now you've created the role, you've created the context. These are some of the goals that you want to do, and you want it to be presented in a table. Now, again, these are very rudimentary prompts, but I think it helps get the point across of what a really good prompt is versus what a really lazy prompt is. So now it's provided this in a table. It's providing me my bottlenecks, my processes for improvement, what are some of the opportunities, and the priority I should be doing these things in. And the debt formula, right? D is basically your definition. How do you define AI and what it should be, right? You have to give it a role and an expertise, right? Again, you're hiring this person to do a job for you. So if you're going to hire somebody to be your business development executive or your business intelligence executive, be specific, give them a role. E, explain your situation. You need to know, the AI needs to know what your context is, the numbers, the constraints. Provide that information for AI to do its job. B is be specific about your goal. What outcome do you want AI to provide you? And then finally, T, it's tell the format. You want to tell the format of what that output should be in, whether it's a list, an action, an email, whatever the case is. Make sure that you tell your agent what you want that outcome to be. It's just common instructions on what you do from a repetitive nature, right? And you activate that skill by using a / and whatever you name your command, right? So, it could be / sound human, which I'll get to in a minute. But basically what they do is they just run silently in the background, and you're basically giving it a standard operating procedure, if you will, of a common thing that you do over and over again. So let me give you an example. This is a completely mangled email. It's spelled incorrectly. There is punctuation issues. There's double punctuations here. It's an absolute disaster. But what if we could actually create a skill and throw that into Claude? So let me break this down for you. What we're trying to do, it says, hey, Buster, help me polish this email by using / sound human. And the result will look something like this. The end result, right? It's all, the punctuations are correct. There's no spelling mistakes. The formatting is correct. So now all I can simply do is copy and paste, right? Let me kind of give you an example of what that skill looks like. If you go into your customize, and then you go to what I have sound human here. And by the way, I'm going to give you all these prompts so you can actually have them for yourself. There's going to be a document inside of Genius Makers. But basically, this is the set of instructions, right? Let me give you one more example. And this is what we call a prompt master. And so what a prompt master is let's say you have writer's block and you're trying to create a prompt, but you don't know exactly what to say. The debt ladder is not working for you. You're just simply like, I'm in a funk. I have no idea what I'm doing. So this is essentially the prompt, right? Analyze my leads and tell me what's going on and display it in a digestible Excel format that I can provide my manager. And we're going to use this above. Can you help me create a better prompt using Prompt Master? So we're going to simply copy this into Claude problem. And this is what your results is going to be. You're a senior business analyst. I'm uploading a leads report file. Analyze and do the following. And it's going to give you a whole bunch of things that it's going to do, right? So I'm essentially going to copy this into Claude and paste it. And with the magic of Claude and presentations, you're going to get an output that looks something like this. I didn't do anything with Excel. It took a summary of that report that I created. It took the leads. It took a report by lead source, status breakdown, trend over time, insights and red flags, right? So simple prompting allows you to do this. With an actual prompt master, it makes it that much better.
One of the things that I walked away with is if I was on I was thinking, man, if I was on the enrollment team, these hardship letters, goodness, how awesome would it be to use this tool, right? And to get some bullet points and then produce something. So you're going to want to look at your department, find ways that you can, what did Camilla say? Automate. Find ways that you can use this to your advantage, right? Use it to your advantage.